Hello. It is 6 p.m., Tuesday, September 27th, 2022. I'd like to call this meeting of the Montgomery City Council into session. We're glad you've come in here physically, and those watching, we hope to have audio for you this time. And so apologies for that. The last time, nothing we could do about it. That's just what happens. We ask that you silence your phones to avoid any interruption of our meeting this evening. We do have a quorum present. Brother T.J. Wilkerson is absent, however, and we'll be offering up prayers for him for healing at this time. So let's stand. Heavenly Father, we do thank you so much for the many blessings that we're able to see every day. We lift our brother T.J. up to you, that you would provide the healing that is necessary. We know you are the great physician. We know you can heal, and we ask that you do so as soon as possible. And Lord, for all of us, protect us from harm's way, lots of sickness, lots of illness. Not only us, but our children, our schools, protect us from harm's way, our families, and of course our city, our state, our nation. We just ask for your blessings upon us all. Grant us wisdom to be able to discern what is right, what is true, and what is best in moving forward. We ask your blessings on this evening's meeting and going forward as a city. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. 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 Salute to the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. To the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. All right, for the Visitors Citizens Forum, we have two people signed up to speak. I'll take them in the order they were presented. Mr. Floyd Montgomery, would you step to the podium, please? Announce your name and your address, please, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Did the force or north of Montgomery. It's in the Montgomery zip code.
Okay.
Well, what I wanted to bring up as a suggestion is renaming Liberty Street after Martin Luther King. Conroe has a Martin Luther King Street, and I just found out from Mrs. Easley that there's somewhere in the Montgomery area there's a Martin Luther King Street also. I looked on the Montgomery map, and there on the map there was no Martin Luther King Street listed. So that's one other comment. I want to tell you about my great-grandson. My daughter married a man many years ago that was adopted by a German background family. I visited my grandsons a couple years ago. Turned out their father turned out to be an Apache Indian when his DNA was done. One of their sons, my grandson, went in the Air Force up North or South Dakota for 4 years in a missile silo. Was married, had 2 daughters. Got divorced, came back to New Mexico. Married a woman that had 2 daughters who was half Hispanic and half black. And their little boy is 1/4 white, 1/4 Apache, 1/4 Hispanic, and 1/4 black, and that's 100% American.
There you go. Thank you, sir. Mr. Andrew Vigno? Okay. State your name and address, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Andrew Vigno. Address is 23989 Weaver Road, 77316. Before my time begins, I'd like to say how cool it is to walk up and see a God we trust in the back all of the police patrol vehicles. That is awesome. I have 2 issues of concern. One of them is I saw that Montgomery County will be changing voting machines in between primary and general elections. Besides cost of replacing the previous voting machines, there's a lot of issues of concern. Have they been tested? Have they been vetted? Are they safe? Are they secure? That's truly a deep concern to me. I would like to strongly suggest that we would postpone replacing that until an election where, governor's house isn't up for grabs. I personally know it would be a terrible thing if a particular individual took that house. Second issue of concern is the building permit for a rather significantly sized strip center right on 1486. It's right at the top of a 60-mile-an-hour farm road, right at the top of the hill. Besides that, what type of shops will be there? Will it be pawn shops? With pawn shops, crime goes up, and crime goes up, trouble goes up, things start missing. Will it be liquor stores? Will it be, what type of shops will be allowed to have a spot in that, in my opinion, dangerously placed strip center right on 1486. I don't think it's needed. I don't see that there's room there. I think it brings a lot of danger, a lot of elements for danger will appear. Pawn shops bring vagrants, liquor stores bring vagrants. I believe our Montgomery County Police Department is busy enough. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, under the consent agenda, item number 1, consideration and possible action regarding an escrow agreement by and between the City of Montgomery, Texas and Waterstone on Lake Conroe Incorporated for a proposed 23-lot single-family residential addition to the Waterstone on Lake Conroe subdivision, development number 2212. Item number 2, consideration and possible action regarding escrow agreement by and between the City of Montgomery, Texas and Morning Cloud Investments, LLC, for a proposed 28-acre single-family residential development and authorizing the city engineer to prepare a utility and economic feasibility study, development number 2213. What's the council's pleasure? Do you take these separate or together?
I have a couple of questions on number 2, but number 1 I'm okay with.
Okay. We field the questions for 2 first? Okay.
I really want to know exactly where it is located. I'm confused on the map
Sure.
that's in our packet.
It is right on our city limit line on, so it's the northwest quadrant of Lone Star Parkway, just past where, for lack of a better descriptor, just past where the sand pit is.
Just past,
You know where the Simonton sand pit,
just past what, David?
the sand pit,
Oh, Sandpit, okay.
So where is the Lone Star Community Building compared to this?
if you see in the map there, in the location map, you can see just in the upper right-hand corner is where the community center is.
Just northeast of this.
Right, so it's
Okay.
essentially just across the bridge.
Yep.
So the bridge there on Lone Star Parkway, if you took left on 149 and heading out, that way, this backs up to and is part of the Stewart's property, Jimmy Stewart's place. So, does that clarify the location for you?
And the part that's not in the city limits is, we would annex it in? Or because more is in the city?
We would ultimately annex that piece into the city
Okay.
limits. Again, it looks like, maybe about 20% or so is outside the city, about 80% is inside the city. But it would make sense just to adjust the boundaries there and annex the portion that is.
And this is a utility and an economic feasibility study, so there's no utilities there?
Right, there are no, the water and sewer stop at the community center there on Lone Star Parkway. There is an opportunity at least for the sanitary sewer, there's at least the possibility of running it from the southeast portion straight over to the old sewer plant site, where there's a line there and going into lift station 2. The issue with it, and again, I'm getting way out of turn here talking to the engineers, but so the sewer line at the community center is a force main, so there's a lift station there that runs, so you have to pump everything and take it, there. If there's a possibility and the topography ends up working, which is part of what they'll be looking at in this study, if it works to have just a gravity line that would serve this, then obviously that would be, the preference, because you don't ever then, have to worry about the capacity of the size of the lift station or the power going to it.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, we need to take a motion on this one then and vote first, then go back to one, or?
No, you can still take the whole consent agenda.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I have a motion by Casey. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Cheryl. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires a majority vote. All in favor of approving consent agenda items 1 and 2 as stated, say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed, say no. And the consent agenda is approved. Item number 3, recognition of Montgomery resident Logan Benet in honor of his achievement in obtaining the rank of Eagle Scout and for choosing Memory Park for the location of his Eagle Scout project.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So every once in a while we get to do something special like this for someone. Really excited. Logan chose Memory Park as his Eagle Scout project. He installed some solar lighting out there. There is very, very high quality solar lighting. It's actually TxDOT grade lighting. Did an exceptional job of it, and just wanted to present him with something for his hard work as a thank you from the city. Logan, Mayor actually has something to give you up there if you want to go up and receive it.
All right, certificate of appreciation, this certificate awarded to Logan Benet. This honor we give to him for the Eagle Scout solar lighting project in Memory Park. He involuntarily completed on behalf of Boy Scout Troop 491. We're really proud of his great contributions, and you're going to help me hold this because it kind of has a fallout on there. And we can take some pictures. You can just smile right there. There you go. How would you like to run the textiles? Okay. Item number 4. By the way, we love those types of things.
Absolutely.
Item number 4, consideration of possible action on authorizing the interim city administrator to approve expenses for replacing pumps at lift station 3 in the amount of $41,350.
Okay, so a little bit of deja vu on this item. So this was approved back in May. Breakdown of communication between operator at the time and the vendor that's putting this in. Not sure what happened, but at the end of the day, the price of the pumps has gone up a little bit. The price does not hold. They have provided us a new quote, which was in your packet, and we're asking for approval to go ahead and put those pumps in like we were requested back in May. So we're still having issues out of it. Would like to move forward with that.
Tell me where this lift station is located again?
Directly across from the bus barn.
Bus
So we've seen a major influx in rags over the last year and a half. These are the flight pumps. If you'll remember, we put in at lift station 8, which is over off of Lone Star, which is what we used to call Randy Burley's lift station, the one that call us about late at night. They're great pumps. Parts are easily accessible. The impeller that's in them is designed to chew rags. So it will send them down the line, and we will hopefully stop having the ragging issues at this lift station.
The only thing that I was going to say was, man, that's a big jump Over $3,000.
That's the,
Is that's a COVID thing, I'm sure.
it is the price of goods
That's
nowadays.
the price of everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions? Do you have a motion?
I make a motion that we accept the item presented to City Council for approving, what was it again? $41,350 for the lift station.
We have a motion by Cheryl. Do we have a second?
I second.
Second by Casey. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires a majority vote. All in favor of approval of item 4 as stated, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. And the motion carries.
Thank you.
Item number 5, consideration and possible action regarding the city entering into a development agreement with HCR Ventures LTD for a proposed 33-acre multifamily residential project along Stewart Creek Road.
Mayor and council, you may recall seeing a feasibility study on this from several months ago, earlier in the summer. Again, just as a quick recap, and then I'll turn it over to the engineers. This project is, or this site rather, is currently just outside of our city limits. It's in the ETJ, separated geographically from the rest of the city by Stewart Creek. It's on the northwestern boundary. The developer for the project are the same developer as the Brookshire Brothers, or the multifamily project there behind the Brookshire Brothers. And so part of this would be an annexation of property and the development agreement, which I'll let Chris talk about.
Sure. So this is obviously very similar to the agreement we saw at the last meeting regarding multi-development. A couple differences in here, just kind of point them out, other than obviously the end product. So annexation on this is delayed until the closing is completed. So just like the Pulte agreement, actually they're right around the same timeline. So probably at your second October meeting is when this will come back for starting those public hearings. If you look on page 63 and 64 of your packets, you'll see exhibits showing the location of this tract, as well as the preliminary land plan that they had provided. And just remember that this is in at least 2 phases with a senior component and a true multifamily component for a total of about 385 units that are in there. Some of the other aspects of this agreement is so they're going to be required to extend a water line. So currently your water line ends in front of Pizza Shack on 105. They'll take it up the corner to serve them. There is no further development down Stewart Creek Road. No, in the city ETJ is the school that's already has service, not from the city. So the cost of extending the line would be on them and be sized to serve their development. City would take over the water line ultimately. For wastewater, they would have a private lift station on site, since the lift station would only serve them and that entity. It's not going to be a city-owned, operated, maintained lift station, but in order to serve the property, a lift station has to be installed in a force main that would come back out again to 105 and Stewart Creek Road around Pizza Shack. And that is really the gist of it. Again, it's pretty straightforward. There's no mud or anything like that, as we've discussed on other recent developments. It's a straight annexation, serves a single developer for the multifamily tract.
I'm glad the developer is here, along with the engineer from his team, who'd be happy to answer any detailed questions that you might have.
So the only question I have is the traffic. So Stewart Creek is a very, very busy road, twice a day, right? And you have one entrance, that's it?
I believe there's 2, looking at their land plan.
One right
And
down the middle.
it'll be,
Just one, right?
One here. I think they're saying this, and no, he's not saying
yeah,
that.
so there's one to
I just see the one in the
the
middle.
south boundary and just north of Pizza Shack. And then there's the main entrance with kind of the boulevard entrance further up.
Okay, so I don't see. the
Repeat that again, Chris, what'd you say?
Let me just walk.
Right behind the,
So one here.
That one there.
Oh, so
Yeah, I see
they'll
the-
come out in the Shack parking lot?
No, so Pizza Shack's right here, so this is just north of Pizza Shack.
Oh, so it's still on Stewart Creek?
Correct, correct. Still on Stewart Creek. It is a county road, so part of their development of the plans is going to the county, getting county approval, and whatever the county requires. If they're going to require turn lanes or anything else, improvements to that road to handle their increased traffic, that's going to be a county requirement, not a city requirement.
Gotcha.
And you said it was in 2 phases, is that right?
That's correct. I can let, if Matt later wants to, and he can answer those questions about look at development, phasing, timeline, things of that would be better for him to answer the questions for you.
Thank you, Chris. Excuse me. Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Thank you. My name is Matt Fuquay. I do represent the development and ownership entity of the property. We do have plans to develop 2 phases of development, one being the multifamily along the front of Stewart Creek, and then towards the reserve. Closer to Stewart Creek, we have plans for an independent senior living community. Regarding, did I answer that question correctly? Yeah. I'd like to say that we have enjoyed our relationship with the city and maintaining our current properties that we have here on Flagship. This would be both market rate properties that our management company would manage, and we're excited about the opportunity.
any other questions? Okay, entertain the motion.
Make a motion to enter into a development agreement with HCR Ventures Ltd. for proposed 33-acre multifamily residential project along the Stewart Creek Road.
I'll second that.
I'll take the second from Carol. Motion's debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. All in favor of approving item 5 as stated, say yes.
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 Any opposed, say no. And the motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Departmental reports. We'll go ahead and take them individually. Is that all right? Item 6, City Administrator's report.
Mayor and Council, we have my report in there. Obviously, the 2 big things for us were the adoption of the budget, the update. At the time of writing this, the search for the city administrator was not closed yet. We closed that on Sunday, or SGR did. We have a total of 38 applicants that they are in the process of going through the initial screening for those. And as you know, next Monday, the 3rd, we'll have a special meeting where we will convene into executive session. We will meet with Marcia via Zoom, where she will give you the rundown on all of the candidates that we've got. From there, we'll be selecting the semifinalists out of that. So, if you have any other questions on my update, I'll be glad to answer those. And if not, I'll move into the utility.
The only one is about the grant activities. How are we making any progress?
In terms of the active grant projects that we're working on, or in finding other grants?
Applying for the other ones.
We are in the process of starting off and looking for, I sat through a meeting with HGAC, or a webinar with HGAC on looking for other grant opportunities. Just got an email from them that's kind of a follow-up from that today on TxDOT has a program that they opened up on October 6th, a call for projects for Highway Safety Improvement Program. HSIP is their acronym for that. I don't know all of the details yet. It's a new program to me, but it's going to be one that I'm looking into. Again, whether that's for either a I'm sure with highway safety, you can lump just about anything to highway safety, but, you know, whether it would be enhancements to our crosswalks, enhancements to signals, you know, anything that we can find there. And also we heard Carol had mentioned this to me, that she had spoken with GrantWorks about the home grant, which is a low-income home program. And we just got a new contact for the HJC region, who I sent an email to, or actually I'm going to send an email to, and ask them to connect us on, you know, what that is. So the TxDOT Transportation Alternatives is coming up in April, I think, is when they open that. So we're, again, you know, looking forward to applying again for that one. So,
Was his name Avery? You sent a correspondence. I intended to get a contact number so I can call this new, because he's a new contact, right?
he is.
Can you find out and send me a number? I'll give him a holler too, just to introduce himself. It seemed like it was Avery something. Any others? All right, item number 7, utility report.
I'll hit the high points on this. In terms of the revenue, both the utility or the combined utility fund and the general fund revenue for the month was just a little over $400,000. You'll see that the escrow number there is high, or at least higher than normal. And what that is, there were 2 projects, both the Redbird Meadows as well as the Pulte development, both had a large deposit that, so again, those aren't really for a feasibility study or anything like that. Those are all done and complete. This is for the ongoing work as the development is going on. Circling back to the late fees, as we know, we talked about that, you know, last month. Our average for the last 11 months has been about $1,800 a month in late fees. So with the 10%, which will be going in instead of the 20%, which will be going into effect on the next billing cycle, we expect that number to go down, as you would all expect it to. If you have to feed the number in the revenue, is going to go down. Talking a little bit about the arrears, we have been doing some digging on that to figure out, we had a process that wasn't quite right on the way that we did arrears. So we're in the process of drafting a letter to get out to the folks who are in arrears, and all of these arrears that have been more than 120 days, you know, in arrears, those are folks that have moved. They no longer live in the city. It's not like their water had just been shut off for 3 months. They just moved and they're gone. And so, you know, an issue that, again, stems back years and years. We've, you know, identified what that is, and we're going to start, you know, reaching out to those folks. We have already cleared off a couple of them just by, hey, I know that person, I'm going to call them. And, you know, there's more that we can send a letter to, but we'll see what we can, you know, get on our own with the letter, and then we'll be turning the rest over to collections. There probably will be some that won't be worth the effort, you know, for collections. If it costs $20 to go after $10, we're probably not going to do that. So we are in the process of clearing that off and getting that, you know, running the way that it should.
Is our arrears, is it that significant? Is it
$5,000 in arrears is, you know, or, you know, just north of that. I mean, it's not a terrible number when you look at the overall revenue. That said, you know, $5,000 is a lot of money that we, you know, aren't just going to walk away from. But, you know, overall, it's not, you know, in relation to what the amount, you know, that we do in, you know, the utility budget is. So, we had 89 total building permits this month.
I had a question before I forget it. A citizen asked me about pools. They just bought new construction and they're asking about a pool permit. How does that work? If the HOA approves it, or do all in-ground pools have to have permit by the city?
All in-ground pools would have to be permitted by the city. We charge $650 for a pool permit fee. That includes the electrical, the plumbing, the final inspection. So it's a I guess a flat fee, but it's inspected for steel. It's inspected for, or, you know, back up a little bit. It's inspected for the site location, the steel that goes in the shell of it, if it's a gunite pool, the plumbing, the electrical, and then again, the final. What the final in a pool inspection is you are, very similar to a house, but the main thing that you're looking for is that the security or the pool barrier is in place. So, but it is absolutely possible. There's been a few of these, subdivisions that are, newer that have a building line in the back where they would either have to get a variance or something like that.
Okay.
Or to get into the building line, a structure is something that is located on the ground, meaning it's laid out on the ground. It's got a defined point, and if that goes over the building line, then they need a variance for it. There's been Town Creek Crossing is one that I've talked to several real estate agents out there, as well as homeowners and pool contractors.
So the contractor would generally take care of that, and if there was a variance, then they would put in for the variance.
Right, and they know that, again, I was in the pool world for about 14 years.
Okay.
And so it's, the company definitely needs to be the one to pull the permit. The homeowner shouldn't, have to pull the permit because again, this is what you do. You're the one that's going to be building it.
Right.
We want to know, we've got to know who the contractor is. They've got to be a registered contractor with us. So,
Okay.
so it would be them to do it. So, and we've got just a little over 1,000 active water accounts. And with that, I'll entertain any questions you guys have.
Solar panels. Have we seen many permits for solar panels?
They're on the uptick. They're on the uptick. And, solar panel, permits are, so the solar companies definitely want to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
Good. If you talk to folks, again, like Randy Burley, who has run the numbers on it, it's something that I'm not sure where the economics are, and I don't, want to get into all that. But in terms of the permitting stuff, what, Rick is looking for when he's out, inspecting, there's a detail that shows how this thing is attached to the roof. So he wants to verify that it's attached to the roof. And a lot of it is, there's been a learning curve on them where the first couple, or, the first, one or two that a contractor will come in and do is a bit of a rocky start usually, but once you explain the process to them and let them know, hey, we do, have a permit process for that. Again, we certainly, seen them on the rise. We've got 3 for this month, and again, it's, something, that we're seeing more of. Again, these aren't the kind generally that have a battery system to it. There's no, storage capacity with them. So again, I don't understand the economics of it, but.
So going back to that generator, there's one generator. Is that the typical Generac
Yep.
garage?
Yes, sir.
Because there's a heck of a lot of them out there. It seems like we have.
There's a lot of them, there are.
So, would it be beneficial to put some kind of a mailer or something with the water bill with those solar panels? Because there's a lot of misconception in the fact that the state law says nobody can stop you from putting solar panels on your house, which I understand. But that doesn't mean you don't have to follow your city building codes and things like that, which is what I've seen. Right now, we've got these contractors rolling in here saying, oh, we can get it done, we'll do it, boom, and then they leave, and there's not been a permit pulled, and they're hooked to the grid.
Right.
So,
right. And oftentimes, what we've found, and some of the struggle that has been is the sales guy who walks around to sell the system is they're using a third party installer. So, they're, twice, removed, from the process. The subcontractor gets told, hey, I sold this job, go put it in. And there was a guy walking around our neighborhood, maybe a month ago, and, let him go through his spiel and say, look, man, I'm not interested at all in this. I just want to make sure that you know that you guys need permits.
very good. And I don't know if you think it would be beneficial, but maybe if we communicate, just kind of inform, and it takes away the, well, I didn't know.
Absolutely.
Right. Well, you got a water bill, read it,
You got to be where and the homeowners are in the perfect opportunity to say, hey, look, I'm interested in this. You do need a permit to do this, and here's, the information. So, we'll absolutely include that in the next mailer.
Okay, any others? Item number 8, sales tax.
Sales tax report, the consultant is going to be here next month at the last meeting in October to go through their piece, but to hit the high points. So again, last month was the quarterly month, that was the big filing month. This month, we collected $351,000 in sales tax. That put us just over our budgeted amount of $4.3 million. Again, we've hit, so our total for the year, for the budget year to date, is $4.6 million. And everything else looks about, consistent, other than, again, the trend has been on the rise. That's a great thing, but as long as you don't, over plan on that money coming in. So like we've done in for the past several years, or at least the last couple of years, any of that extra money that is in, just because we get extra money in doesn't mean the staff gets to spend that money. You guys, decide where that money's spent. Right now, it's going into the capital projects fund. If you guys want to, direct that elsewhere, you certainly, have the ability to. But all in all, sales tax is looking good for us, and I'm happy to follow up if you guys have any other specific questions on it.
If there's no other questions, we'll go on to item number 9, finance report.
As you saw, Anthony sent that out a little early this time because he is out of town this week. The short of it is we have about 5.7 months worth of reserves. Again, as we get into the next couple months, we're going to be working on the details for the end of the year budget amendment. It's just a process to reconcile what's been spent, through the year and tie everything off. If you guys have any specific questions on the finance report, I'll be glad to look into it and follow up.
What is the process to move the excess from being just put in the capital fund to reserve?
Really, it's just in terms of the overall amount of money, say that we set aside in reserves for.
No, just into our city reserve. Instead of it funneling straight into capital funds, can we put it into the reserve? Because we can always move it if we need it to capital funds.
Yep, absolutely.
But then at least we know that it's there and it's not just floating in capital funds as a slush fund.
Unless anyone has an issue with it, all you have to do is tell me, which you just did, and I'll be glad to do that.
Anybody have a problem with that? Sounds smart to me.
I mean, again, none of it gets spent without you guys, directing where it goes, so.
I would say yes.
We've got a minimum threshold of what we keep in reserves, but there's nothing that tells us that we can't have, more than that in there, so we'll be glad to do that.
Is the bank account at the First Financial Bank, or is it in textbook?
For the
Do you
general
know?
fund,
No, for the reserve money. Do you know where that money is?
I believe it's in a textbook or a textbook account. I don't know that for sure, but I can verify that.
Textbook draws more interest than
Yes.
First Financial. So if he can move it without any difficulty, but to move it back is a little different.
I got you.
So it's not available. If it's in text pool, it's not as available if it was in our bank account. So if you'll find that out, it might make a little difference with Anthony. But otherwise, yes, it should.
Any other questions on finance? Item number 10, police and code enforcement reports.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. You have that report. Is there any questions you have on that? If not, we've been talking with TxDOT. If you'll notice going westbound out of town there is speed limit is 35, 45. On the other side coming in, it's 55. and that's coming right up to the school. We've been talking to them about that, so what we're gonna do, and it should be done this week, from what they told us the other day. They're gonna take that 60 that's there and move it out past Lone Star, and coming in, they're gonna take that and break it down to 45, because it's coming right up to the school. So they're gonna take it down to 45, and both sides will be 45. And that'll kind of even that speed limit out. And then once you get up where you get to the school, then you'll have flashing lights for the schools. That'll slow that traffic down coming into that school area.
I wanted to ask about P6 Farms. Last year was a disaster because we had the P6 Farms in conjunction with something else in town. Is there anything we can do to help with that traffic this coming opening of P6 Farms? But if I remember right, it was that weekend. It was like Friday, Saturday. We had something here that was backing up, and then P6, and even Lone Star, if you wanted to try to go around and beat it, you couldn't because something was going on down here at the same time. Now, I don't know exactly, I don't remember what it was, but it was a mess last year.
That's the second question we've gotten on that. We'll take a look and talk with them about the traffic control, because that's in the county. So
yes,
they've got the county doing the traffic there. So if it's making a mess here in the city, we'll talk to them about that and see how that's working and see if we can work something out with it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I know that you were looking to fill one position that you were down a patrol or
Yes.
down an officer. How's that search?
It's not going good.
No.
It's not. It's police departments all over this country are looking for police officers, and you're trying to get the best fit that you can get, and so you have to be, just got to be a little bit patient and look at some other avenues, and we're looking at some other avenues. We've got a show coming here to Houston, where we'll go out and try to recruit there, and also we're looking at the point to where people who, we get young people who say, hey, we want to be a police officer. We may start to finance those people through an academy, and then bring those guys back. So we're looking at different ways to do this, so we can get the right fit. Because when you start bringing in just police officers who've been let go from other departments, and not to say when you start looking at their F5s, some departments will put something on there just to get rid of them, and we're not going to take those, because when we start doing backgrounds, there's a couple of things we start looking at first, and those are red flags right off the beginning. So we're not going to just pull anybody in here. We're going to try to get somebody in that fits. So and the guys understand it. So it takes a little bit more work.
Sure.
So we're working on it.
I just want to know how it's going. That's all.
It
Sounds wise. It sounds wise.
Yep.
Is there anything else in that? All right. Item number 11, municipal.
What about Ms. Tilly's report?
Well, she didn't move, so is there nothing else in that? Okay. Item number 11, municipal court report.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. You have a report in front of you for the month of August 2022. The collections for citations were 140, and the revenue amount was $33,042.07. Are there any questions for court?
When will your new person start full-time? Have they already started?
I'm not a new person right now. We are in the process.
Oh, I thought you had a part-time person and she was going full-time.
No.
Oh, excuse me?
Any other questions?
Besides that one. All right, item number 12, Public Works.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. You got the report in front of you. Have any questions related to it? Be happy to answer any.
I think Casey's working on something, I can just sense it.
I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss it.
I have some water meter questions.
Sure.
So is this the line item to ask a few?
You can.
Oh, okay. The meters that most everybody has in the city now, and I say most everybody, I remember back when we got the new meters, everybody wasn't getting new meters at that time. Does everybody have, and I'm going to call it a new meter, but it's the one that has beacon on it?
Yes, ma'am. So when we did the original program, we did change all residential meters.
Residential?
There were only a handful of commercial meters that we did not change at the time just because of the cost. I think, if my memory is correct, it was about $140,000 that we spent on the original project. We did go back over the course of the next 2 years and replace each of those out individually, but now we're 100% on the beacon system.
And how long ago has that been? Do you remember? 5 years, 6 years?
6 to 6.5. I believe January will be 7. Chris is
Okay.
looking at me like maybe he remembered. I think January is 7 years.
When, I want to say it's maybe a couple of years ago, we had something on the agenda about getting newer meters. And is that because, do you remember that, or am I dreaming? Is
So
it-
I don't know if there was anything on the agenda, but I do remember us talking about possibly switching out to the ultrasonic meters. And we had Torque look at it, and yeah, we did go through a process on that. We elected at the time not to go ahead and start the change out because we would have ended up with a partial system, partial old meters, partial ultrasonic. We just decided to wait until the day comes where we change them all out at once.
Okay. When my meter goes bad, it alerts who?
So going bad's kind of so we don't get an alert telling us that your meter has gone bad. What we get right now, what we've received for a couple of years now is we've got a resident in town named Randy Burley who looks at this stuff for us for free. So Randy looks at he gets a report every month. He filters out these meters that the consumption looks like something's gone wrong. He sends a list over to, he sends one list to the utility billing department saying, I see this issues on the billing. He sends a list to me that says, these are the meters that I think something's going on with. We go out and we check those meters out, we replace the ones that need it, and send him the list back showing what we've done, and he keeps a running tab in this. And it's working. We're slowly improving that process on getting the information back to him, but it's working. He picks up on meters that are, he watches the drop off. He can see that the consumption starts dropping off, and it's not because people are using less, it's because the meter's wearing out, the internal guts of it are wearing out and have to be replaced.
And we have these meters in stock to replace it if needed? Or
Yes.
you have to go and purchase them somewhere?
So we usually keep 20 to 25 meters in stock. We also keep parts in stock. But whenever we go out and look at one, if it falls within, if the life of the meter is under 750,000 gallons, we get it replaced for free. We don't rebuild it. We just pull the whole meter out and send it back to Accurate Meter and Supply. They send us a new meter free of charge to replace it. Same with the endpoints. If we have an issue with the endpoint, which is the antenna, basically, that stores all the information, if there's an issue with it, we send it back in under warranty. We're having a little bit of a supply chain issue on that. We used to just, if we would send 20 in, they would just bring us 20 back. Now they're making us send it to Badger and waiting for those to come back from Badger, but it's not an issue. The way we're dealing with, the way we have enough in stock that we can manage.
So the meter is actually read from the computer. No one goes out and reads meters anymore, is that right?
Correct. There's an occasional...
As far as residential?
As far as all of them. So they read through cell phone signal. They all go to cell phone towers, and then Beacon, it's the Beacon website that we go to. So we can go to this website at any given day. Usually utility billing will go around the 22nd, 23rd, and what they'll do is they'll pull the reads from the 17th of the month. So they'll backdate it to the 17th. So they're pulling reads from the 17th to the 17th. That's why you see in the operator's report, that's why their operations report is dated for that. They're trying to match our billing cycle.
Okay. When I use more water than normal, does it alert someone at the computer? Or it does not alert anyone like I thought these meters were supposed to do?
No, so they don't
No.
alert. So if you start using more water, it doesn't alert anyone. The alert that they have on them is a leak alert. And what that is it will notify someone if there is 24 consecutive hours of usage. What I always tell people is set up your leak alert for 0.2 gallons. That's what was recommended to us from Accurate. It's not going to alert you every time you use 0.2 gallons. It's only going to alert you if you use 0.2 gallons for 24 consecutive hours. So in the beginning when we started this, we were looking at the leaks in the city on a weekly basis. And what we would do is we would go hang door hangers every week, and we would say, this is a courtesy notice. You've got a leak running 25 gallons an hour, and we would attach a brochure to it on how the customer can sign up for the same alert on the website or on the app. Over time, over the almost 7 years that we've been doing this, we have backed off the amount of times that we're looking at individual customers, especially whenever we hang 3 door hangers in a 3-year time, and if they're still not signing up for it, then at some point we have to just say, hey, they're not going to watch this. But there's nothing so I have 2 screens, 2 monitors. One of my monitors automatically stays on the beacon side, just to watch it, see the communication errors and all that. But there's nothing that pops up that says Carol Langley has an issue. I can go into a section that says leaks detected, and I can bring up each individual account like that. And what we still try to do is we still try to promote the individual customer to sign up and get those leak alerts themselves. Because if you sign up for it, you're going to react to it a whole lot quicker than, I'm not looking at it every day anymore.
Right.
I'm not looking at the leak side of it every day anymore.
But if my meter is not working, that doesn't alert anyone.
No, ma'am, it doesn't.
So if my bill is staying the same for 6 months, nobody's paying any attention to that but me. Is that right? I mean, no one's looking to see that my water usage was the same as it was
The
last
same as in zero, or just the same in general? Because what Randy's looking at is Randy's picking up on those usages that do hit a 0 and then stay at 0 for a couple of months. And that triggers him on his spreadsheet, and he's saying, hey, there could be an issue on this meter. But as far, so if you use 4,000 gallons of water a month and you use 4,000 every month, there's really nothing to trigger us to look at. Is that
only if it goes back to the 0?
Yes.
Then
or a significantly lower consumption.
Right.
So if there's a house that normally uses 20,000 gallons a month because they're running 15,000 in irrigation, and all of a sudden it drops off to 2,000 gallons a month, there's probably something going on. Did they quit watering altogether? More than likely not. So we'll go look at it. Sometimes we do find out, hey, their irrigation's turned off, the backflow device is completely, ball valve is turned off. But that's how we're looking at those.
do you know how many meters in Montgomery are not working at all? And when I say not working at all, Randy has looked at the list, and they're more than likely stayed 0 for a couple of months.
So I don't know the number off the top of my head. He is sending us a list every month to look at. I do know that a lot of the ones that are 0 that we've looked at just on the beacon site are irrigation meters.
Okay.
So it's encouraging to know that a lot of those are probably turned off. But I don't want to give you a guess on how many It is. I can look that up, but I don't have that number off the top of my head.
But these meters don't, in other words, if I go out to my meter and I start messing with it, pulling it apart, it doesn't alert anyone?
It'll tell us that, yeah. It'll give us an endpoint tamper alert. So if you simply pull your lid off and you pull it too hard and it pulls the wires apart, which it shouldn't because we zip tie them where they shouldn't do that, but if they happen to pull apart, we'll get an alert saying endpoint tamper.
Yeah, do you get an alert or Randy gets an alert?
Well, not an alert, so the word alert may be a misconception. It's not an alert. It comes up in the endpoint, in the endpoint health section. So there's the very top of the screen on my computer, I see the overall, and one of the sections is labeled endpoint health. And there may be anywhere from 5 to 10 issues at a time. Sometimes it's a communication error. Sometimes it's whenever it rains and if a meter box is setting low and has a couple of inches of water over the top of it, it may not communicate that day because of the water. As soon as it dries up and it goes down, it communicates again. So that number fluctuates, but it separates between, in that section it may say 3 meters, 3 endpoint communications, 2 endpoint tampers. If there's an endpoint tamper, we immediately go out and look at it and see, is it pulled apart? Did somebody hit it with a mower? There's a couple of different issues that could be.
If you didn't have Randy to give you that report, how would you know?
So that's something that we've talked about internally, that we want to get to a point where we're able to take these spreadsheets from him and run them ourselves. We're just not quite there.
Okay. So when you were looking at those other meters, did they have a feature that the person that's doing the computer work, that it is different as far as alerting someone, or is it the same as what we already have?
It's the same as what we have on that aspect. What it does is the guts on the inside, that's what's different. So it reads through a light signal. It doesn't, what we have is a mechanical device. It's called a nutating disc. Water goes in one side, a gallon in, a gallon out. Water goes in one side, it nutates the disc in this motion, comes out the other side. Whereas the ultrasonics, the water passes straight through, reads with mirrors and measures light.
How many people do you?
Oh, sorry, I was just going to ask Mike to clarify, when a meter goes, we'll say bad, that is water getting through that's not being billed. Generally speaking, not the other way around. There's not a way for someone to be charged for more water than what's going through the meter.
So, previous job, I did a lot of meter testing. I've never seen one that ran over 101%. They always go to the negative, being to the customer's advantage. So for every 100 gallons of water that runs through it, maybe it reads 90 gallons. Seen them as low as 45%. But yeah, they are never to the positive. I don't even think it's physically possible for it to be. Not on a mechanical anyway. The ultrasonics, I don't know enough about those to know if that's possible or not. I haven't heard of it.
So I'm going to ask this question, but it's on the next report. So H2O gets our report from the wells saying how much water has gone through the wells. And then they get our report as to how much water we sold.
Yes, ma'am.
Which is my bill, the amount of water on my bill. And on this report, I think in my mind, it's 97% accountability.
Yes, ma'am.
So looking at that, I wouldn't say we have that many broken meters. And when I say broken, they're not reading the amount of water that someone is using.
Yes.
They may be reading an amount because they're not getting the same bill every month, but it's not a whole lot of difference.
No, 97% is a very, very healthy accountability rate.
So there's no way to know how many of those meters are not registering other than Randy looking at this.
Yeah, well, I mean, the accountability that
Is
the
that right?
operator provides is a good number to know that we don't have a huge problem with meters that aren't reading correctly. Having a 97% accountability is very healthy.
So out of 942 residential meters, 100 maybe aren't working?
I don't even want to guess at that because I don't have that in front of me. I don't think it's 100, but I don't want to guess at that. I'd have to look at the beacon site and get you a good number on that.
Okay. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, when you're dealing with turbine meters, you have to account for some slippage. In the whole business, we have slippage, and we test our meters like insane amount of times, and we still have slippage. So you're gonna have 3%'s not bad, but we don't ever test those meters, and they're never recalibrated. They are just in the ground. 3%'s fantastic. 3% slippage. The one comment I want to make was on McGinnis Lane. First of all, it looks fantastic. The road ditches going in and everything, that looks great. We're finishing that up. I went out there to look at it. The question at the end of the road was, are we going to continue the ditches? Because they just stop right now.
Still on Martin Luther King.
McGinnis Road is on the
McGinnis
north.
Lane.
Or McGinnis Lane, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna let the engineers hit on that. That's their project, so I don't want to speak for
Okay,
them.
no problem.
The concrete is not. So the concrete line at the ditches doesn't go all the way. It just replacing the culverts and then was regrading the parts that were there. So I think at the very north, or the very, the northeast end, especially on the north side, there wasn't a defined ditch before.
Right.
And there'll be some, I need to go back and look at the plan specifically, but it was trying to, because it was so flat there to begin with, to work with what they had.
So I guess my concern with that is before there wasn't a ditch, so the water could get elsewhere. Now there is a ditch, and that's a street that drains both ways. So now all that water is now funneled to those places where there is no ditch. So where it comes out right in front of that person's house, now it's nice that the culvert is in and there's a ditch and it's not going to run down his driveway, but now the culvert dumps right at the end of his house.
We'll take a look. I don't remember specifically what that, I know they're still working out there, but we'll go back and take a look at what the plans show.
Okay.
That's supposed to be done. If something the contractor needs to address, we'll get him to address it.
Yeah, I know when I look, there's a ton of utilities right there that are gonna have to be something done to make some kind of a drainage so it gets past his house. But we just focused all the water now to the end of his house.
Yep. We will go have that taken a look at this week.
All right, anything else for Mike?
No?
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 13, utility operations report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. If you look with me on page 2 at the district alerts, we had one that was lift station 2, high well level generator running. Operator responded to the auto dialer regarding the wet well. Upon arrival, he found the generator running. Electrician was called out due to an electric meter showing the facility was normal power. Electrician was able to find that there was a blown fuse on the main line down the road. So we weren't getting full 3-phase, and the equipment was reset. No further issues after the repair was made. On to the next page. Our average daily flow was 186,000 364 gallons. That is in 47% of our permitted capacity. On to page 4, we stayed in compliance for the month. We had no excursions. Page 5, we were 97% accountable, and our total connection count came out to 1,183. And that is the report that I have this evening. Do you have any questions?
Anybody have any questions? All right, item number 14.
Thank you.
City engineer report.
Good evening. If you'll flip to our report, so I'll hit the high points of the projects of main interest. Water plant number 3 improvements. So your contractor is continuing to address final punch list items, as-built, O&M manuals, general cleanup, and some other small items. Nothing of major concern. The plant is fully online and operational at this time. The water plant number 3 generator, their contractor is proceeding with construction of the generator pad and the underground electrical conduit. I know we've been talking about the generator having some delays. They're getting as much done as they can until the generator arrives, so that when it does arrive, they can set it on the pad, hook it up, and they're ready to go. We talked about the Martin Luther King ditch regrading. They are, as y'all have seen, they are proceeding with the roadside ditch drainage improvements, and then as updated as yesterday, they were continuing work on the manhole rehab. So they are working on both aspects of the project. Your CCTV, the contractor is just about complete with all of the videos. We've got those, we've reviewed them, and we're preparing our recommendations for repairs, and we'll be sitting down with staff to discuss those as well. Klepper sidewalks, your contractor, in our opinion, has been doing a great job. They, as y'all have seen, the sidewalks are in. We'll be working to schedule a final inspection, so they will be usable for Fall Fest.
Lots of good comments so far.
Going on to the next page, so page 3 of our report, I want to talk about items 8 and 9, or the water line replacement and the downtown drainage master plan. Both of these we're coordinating with the surveyor. We had some comments for both of those projects, and then Unda Ardura, who's doing the above ground improvements, had some comments as well. So we're working through those with the surveyor. And then item 10, your downtown sanitary sewer rehab. We began advertising for bids for this project on the 20th. So that ran in the paper last week. And then we will have a pre-bid meeting on the 4th, so next week. And then we'll open bids on October 11th. We'll present to you our recommendation for award at your October 25th council meeting. If you'd like to see the scope of that, that's on page 132 of your packet, the second to last page in your packet. Lift station number 8 repairs. So this is kind of in the hands of Public Works. They've been coordinating with Online Directional Boring, the contractor that we discussed last time. And so he's got his materials, and we're working to get that repair scheduled as soon as we can. Both of the feasibility studies that we have listed, we'll be presenting those at your next council meeting and walking through those results. Plan reviews, a couple that I want to touch on are Grand Monarch and Express Oil Change. We provided plan approval for both of those this past month. Your Redbird Meadows, we received their drainage study in the middle of August, and then we provided our comments to them for their drainage report. And then as of today, we received the clearing and grubbing plans for the Pulte Group development, that 80-acre tract. So we received those today. We're going to start our review on those. Jumping down to the general ongoing activities section, your TxDOT updates on the FM 149 and 105 right turn lane. They're continuing to coordinate with Entergy, and the city has now reached out to Entergy as well to try to keep things moving and see if we can get that going. TxDOT's position is that they're still waiting on Entergy to relocate their line before they can go in and complete their work. Your access management along 105, they're still experiencing concrete delays, but they're moving again. They do have some folks out working again, and they did confirm that there will be pavers in the medians for the section that's in the city from Lone Star Parkway up to Cedar Creek Road.
Are they going to get pretty?
Not a the Houston office, so it's a different group than the access management. And then 105 and Emma's Way, I was able to get confirmation that they were able to adjust the signal to allow for an additional 5 seconds of left turn time for those coming out of the hills of Town Creek. So not sure if you've seen a difference, but they were able to confirm.
We have in general.
For those as well. It's all happening simultaneously with your sanitary cleaning and televising. And that's all
I
that.
have a couple of questions that one, it's kind of one thing that involves management and also city engineers. I think, Dave, you recall, received a lengthy letter catching me up on issues related to Cedar Break Park. For Dave's part of it, it was a statue of some kind. Would you check on that and see? It's a long letter, and you know more about it than I do, and possibly Cheryl might, I don't know. But it goes back a number of years for something about a statue. The other part really concerns me, especially it's the ADA compliance and being able to get people with wheelchairs ability to have a picnic table. I don't think it's talking about the whole thing necessarily, but allow people in wheelchairs to have their picnic access and that sort of thing. And so that was in that same letter that Dave could, you know, show you. And so those are a couple of Cedar Park concerns I'd like for you to look into.
Sure, yeah, we'll get together on that.
Okay.
On the flagship storm sewer, you said you'd have results when?
We have the videos, and we're going to be sitting down later with Mike and Dave later on this week to talk over our recommendations for repair.
Were those materials approved?
It was put in 2004. It was done by I don't have clear definition of it. It was done by the city engineer at the time. It was also development at the time. They were coinciding as far as who exactly paid for it. There wasn't I don't have a clear line as far as the variance for the plastic pipe. Couldn't find it, over the whole thing. We know the two spots that had sinkhole, and there's at least 2 or 3 more significant sections that are split down the top that are starting to collapse. It's just kind of a matter of time before we see it on surface.
So there was never a variance?
It'll take some digging to find if there's record of a variance.
And what was do we know any of the relationship of the developer, what his part was in the development?
I don't. We haven't gotten into that yet to see again, whose responsibility was flagship, who did the development itself, and kind of who was leading who on that charge. That's something that we can, because obviously when we come back with, not potentially, the excavation has been done, there's not been C-sand or anything around the pipe, just normal fill over in the spots that we dug up.
Requires majority vote. All in favor of approving departmental reports, items 6 through 14, say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed, say no. And we will approve departmental reports, items 6 through 14. All right. Executive session. The City Council reserves the right to discuss any of the items listed specifically under this heading or for any items listed above in executive closed session as permitted by law, including if they meet the qualifications of section 551.071, consultation with attorney, 551.072, deliberation regarding real property, 551.073, deliberation regarding gifts, 551.074, personnel matters, 551.076, deliberation regarding security devices, and 551.087, deliberation regarding economic development negotiations of Chapter 551 of the Government Code of the State of Texas. And so item 15 adjourn into closed session as authorized by the Texas Open Meetings Act, Chapter 551 of the Government Code, in accordance with the authority contained in the following: A, Section 551.071, consultation with attorney, and B, Section 551.072, deliberation regarding real property. And it is 7:17, and we are now in executive session. Adjourned. It is 8:30 and we are re-adjourned back from executive session. And so, council, do we have any motions?
Just have one motion. It's to authorize city staff to relocate the easement in the Lone Star Estates.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Carol. Motion's debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. All in favor of the motion as stated by Mr. Casey Olson, say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed, say no. And the motion as stated carries. Now for council inquiry. Anyone? All right, need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Carol, need a second.
I will second.
And all in favor say yes.
Yes.
And we are adjourned at 8:31.